Tuesdays are my request evening. Thursdays are stories that I like to bring to you. If you want to join my Patreon, it's patreon.com/Jess Rose 5472. I like to have a chat with the guys in the live at the beginning if they join. I have been on already and I've rejoined, so I'm hoping they come back. Then I start the story. Once I've started, I don't chop and change. I just get on with it. So if you want to fast forward to when I start, that's perfectly fine. And then I have a quick chat with the guys in the live at the end. So I'm just going to say hi to everyone and then I'm going to start. Hey sis, sorry, what a palaver. What a palaver. Lost my mind then. Also, I don't know what's going on. And they've changed all the side. I don't know what's happening. Hey! Hi, Hayley. I'm so sorry. It was me. Hi, Phil. How you doing? Can you hear me? How you guys are going? I'm so sorry, guys. Thank you so much for coming back. Is Warwick coming back? Is Warwick going to join us? Oh, what a palaver. They've changed it all and I just sort of lost my mind a little bit then. I was like, I'm really hot. I realised I hadn't changed my jumper and all of that sort of good stuff. So here I am with my trusty fan. Hi, Jilly. How you doing? What's crackling? My mic? Oh, dear. Is it? I'll try to turn it down a little bit. Is that any better? Is that better or not? Thank you for telling me. I wouldn't know. I should wear headphones ready so I can hear it. Is that better? I don't know what it was. Oh, that's good. Excellent. Excellent. Ah, Warwick is back. Thank you. Thank you guys for coming back. I'm sorry. It all just, I had a bit of a, yeah, I didn't know what was going on and that wasn't working. I thought if I come out, it might come back on, but it hasn't. So it's just a little bit dull behind me and I hate that. But I've got lights on, so I don't know what to do. But I suppose it's late in the evening, so we can give it that excuse, can't we? So, how are we all? Did we all have a good weekend anyway? As I was asking earlier. Let's keep a listen out, see if you hear it crackling. I have new cushion covers. Maybe that's why it's darker behind me. That could be it, couldn't it? That could be why it's dark. I have the fluffs. I love the. They're all lovely. They're all lovely and fluffy. But the fur was going everywhere a couple of days ago. I had fluffs everywhere. So they've calmed down a bit now. Thanks to Mum. I put them in the dryer. There's a tip for you. Put them in the dryer. No more fluffs. But yeah, that was my week. No, I had my brother's little girl's christening. I was godmother of. So I was very privileged with that, which was lovely. Obviously Tiffany was babysitting the big baby. But no, that was lovely. We had a lovely time. I had my parents over and stuff, so that was really, really lovely. Oh, thank you. My fluffies. I'm very happy with them. But I'm not going to keep you too much longer because I'm going to start. Ah, did she not give you a welcome, Phil? Oh my God. Well, that's not on. That's not on. You have to be. Have you not been giving your welcomes out, Tiffany? That's just not on. Did you welcome Gillian, Warwick and Hayley? Come on. She's normally with it. She's normally on. But so I don't know what happened there. Oh, I've turned that down now. Why did I mess? Maybe I'm really quiet now. Right, I'm just gonna. Just tell me if there's a problem with the mic. It is my fault. Hi, Natalie. Lily was bridesmaid for her mum's wedding. Oh, lovely. How's she getting on? How's she doing now? Oh, I bet she... did she look all pretty? I bet she looked beautiful, didn't she? Love being... I've been a bridesmaid a couple of times. Love being a bridesmaid. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride, as they say. No, it's fine. I couldn't take the stress. I get stress coming on here twice a week. Could you imagine? the stress of having to be the sole folk. No. I'm just supposed to. No, I don't think I'd cope very well. I'd be really faffing. I'd be telling everyone, stop the song. I'm going to start again. Oh, that's good, Natalie. I'm glad. I'm really, really glad. I was thinking about you the other day, actually. See how she was doing. So I'm really pleased about that, Natalie. Right, now that we're up and running and we're all okay, are we ready for me to start? Because it is quite a long one. So I really could have done without keeping you so long tonight at the beginning. But I'm going to start if everyone's okay. Hold on a second. Let me just double check. Yes, let me fix the lights. Okay, right. We're going to start. Okay, so the Devastating Victoria Climbie Story. Now, obviously, it's a request evening tonight. And I have been asked to redo this one quite a few times, to be honest. Now, I had done it on my pre-recorded videos 5 years ago. But I have been asked to redo it. I did check my original one. Oh, and bless. The quality is just, oh, it was one of my first stories. That's all I can say. And it was 5 years ago. But, yes, so I am going to redo the story. And yeah. Oh, God, it's awful. So just letting you know it is a child's. I think most of the world knows this story. So, yeah, it's just a very, very, very sad story. So, okay, we're going to start. Okay, so we have Victoria Adjo Climbie, okay, born on the 2nd of November 1991 in Abobo in the Ivory Coast, okay? No. Now, her parents, it's his dad, her dad is Francis Climbie, her mum is Bertha Amoisi. Okay, I know I'm butchering these names. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry if I am. Okay, now, Victoria was the 5th child of seven, sorry, so she had 6 siblings, okay? Now, oh my God, this little girl, just so cute. So cute. Seen photos of her when she was very, very small, probably about 1 or 2. I've got her in the pictures. And it said that she was just always happy. She was the little entertainer of her family. She loved doing her traditional dances that they do there and singing, and just a very, very close-knit family unit. Just beautiful. Now, enter the matriarch of the Climbie family. All right. Now, this is a lady. The fingers are out. Okay. A lady by the name of Marie-Therese Coelho. Okay. Now, the reason I say she's the matriarch of the Climbie family, she's actually Francis's, which is Victoria's dad. She's actually his auntie. So it would make her Victoria's great aunt. Right? Now, it was believed that Marie-Therese, I'm going to call her Marie, right, and say Marie-Therese every time. So it's believed that Marie was very, very wealthy. You know, she came from France, okay? She was obviously born in the Ivory Coast, but she'd gone to live in France when she was married. It's believed she'd gone on to have 3 sons. I don't know anything about them, and there's not much mentioned of them anywhere, so we won't talk about them. But she got divorced back in the 70s or something, and her late husband passed away in the mid-90s. That's all I know about him. Now, she was actually born on the 17th of July 1956, and like I say, she was born in Bonova in the Ivory Coast and then moved to France once she was married, okay? Now, she gave an air of being this matriarch of just, like I say, incredible wealth. That's the air she gave when she'd come and visit the family over in the Ivory Coast, okay? So we get to September of 1998. All right, that's where we're going to sort of begin this story. And while she's at the funeral for her brother, Marie, she went to visit Victoria and her family, because obviously Victoria's dad is Marie's nephew. So she goes to visit them, and whilst there, she offers to take Victoria back to France with her. Now, this is it's apparently a common practice in that area of the world, where it's been given it's been likened to someone coming to me or you and saying, we will educate your child in Eton or Harrow, like a very established, higher education place. Oh God, it shows where I went to school, doesn't it? That wording. But sorry, in the Ivory Coast. And what she was offering was to bring Victoria back to France with her, to get Victoria educated. Okay? And it was a great opportunity for Victoria. It really was. But her parents weren't 100% on it. There really wasn't. She was their little girl, sending her across the world. And they just weren't 100% sure about it. But we get to October in 98, so a month later, okay, and Marie-Therese returns back to the Ivory Coast, and Victoria's parents agree. They agree to allow Victoria to go back with her to France. They're really dubious about it, but they know it's good for her, and I think it's a real credit to them that they're willing to allow that to happen for the good of Victoria. That's what they believe they're doing. They believe they're helping their child. But now, on the passport that Marie's got for Victoria, the name on there is actually Anna Quayo. Okay? Now, the reason that's the name on the passport is because Marie wasn't going to bring Victoria back. She'd actually wanted to bring a little girl called Anna Quayo who lived around that. I believe she was a distant family member too. She wanted to bring Anna back with her, and that was the name on the passport. But when she'd got there, Anna's parents were like, no, we're not comfortable with it. And so then she was like, right, okay. And so she pushes Francis to let his daughter go. Okay, so that's where that sort of comes from. It's all very, very odd. Now, although Francis was still believing it's such a good opportunity for their daughter, Bertha knows she's very concerned, especially over the passport malarkey. She knows her daughter's going to have to lie. Her first entrance into the Western world, into France, she's going to have to lie and pretend to be somebody else. And she's just not too keen on this. She's really not. But again, trying to think of Victoria and trying to think of this as a very positive thing for her, she allows her to go. And, Victoria, bless her, she's really excited. This is a whole adventure for her. She's going across the world. she thinks this is amazing, and to have this new education, this new life, and these, meet these new people. She just thinks it's absolutely amazing. So she's packing a little suitcase and getting ready to go, and she's hugging her parents and hugging her siblings, and she just thinks this is going to be amazing. She really does. And at this point, Victoria's 7. She's nearly 8, okay, but she's still 7 at the moment. Okay, so Victoria really, she didn't even mind when Marie told her she'd have to wear a wig, because don't forget, it was going to be Anna travelling with Marie, who didn't look anything like Victoria. They looked nothing alike. So Marie had brought Victoria like a wig to put on, and she basically says to her, from now on, you are Anna and you are my daughter. Okay? This is what Victoria's told. And even with that, she was just really happy about it. She didn't mind. She's just, with that childlike sort of innocence, she just thought it was amazing. She just thought this was going to be just such a great experience in her little life. Oh, God. And obviously, Marie was refusing to change the name on the passport, so because she'd have to pay for that. So Victoria is now Marie's daughter, and that's how she has to come across now from now on. Okay, but they make it through French customs, and little Victoria now finds herself in Paris. Okay, don't forget, Marie, matriarch of the family, very wealthy, and here to give this little girl that, this amazing start to her education and her life. Yeah, not so much. Not so much. Because once they got there, well, it was revealed that Marie wasn't actually wealthy at all. Not even in the slightest. She lived in a bog standard council flat in Paris, and she was on benefits. She was a complete fraud. Now, I don't know why it was so important for her to bring a child back from the Ivory Coast with her. I don't know. All I can assume, and it is an assumption, is it was for state benefits, or to up them, to get more, and to possibly get her hands on our council house, maybe. That's all I can think, because it's never come out why was she so desperate to bring a child back with her. Because it wasn't for the education, I can tell you that. Now, Victoria, right now, is now 8. Okay, she's had her 8th birthday, and she's been enrolled in school in Paris. Okay, so she's getting enrolled. But unfortunately, she was only going about 50% of the time. From probably the first month she was there, because Victoria was already being abused by her aunt. Already being abused by Marie. Okay, but because she was only going in 50% of the time, and the school had started to notice marks on Victoria, very quick, it seems like they were very on it, but much better than ours did. Marie started to get a bit paranoid, because she believed that the authorities were now starting to watch her. You've got to have your child in school. And yeah, she was getting a little bit paranoid, not just because Victoria wasn't going to school, but not just because Victoria was being, she's got marks on her from being beaten by this aunt as soon as she arrives in France, but she's also committing fraud, because the child she's brought into the country is not the child on the passport. So there's a lot obviously going on with Marie at the moment, and she's starting to panic. So we get to April 1999, okay? Now Marie, sensing, okay, it's been about 4 months, 4 or 5 months since Victoria's arrived in France, and Marie sensing that they're really starting to ask questions and the net's starting to close in on her a little bit. She just simply up sticks. Packs hers and Victoria's stuff and moves to London, England. Just like that. Like, let's go. We're not going to deal with this. So, which is like, oh, okay then. Let's just move country, shall we? So, when they get to London, okay, Esther Acker is the name of a lady who was a distant relative of Marie Therese, I never pronounce it right. It looks like it's Therese, but it's a distant relative of Marie's anyway, okay? Now, Esther receives a knock on her door, and when she opens the door, just out the blue, on her doorstep is Marie and this little girl, Victoria, who obviously Esther's never seen before. And she invites them in, and they come in, and, you know, and Marie's like, how have you been after all these years? And Esther's a bit like, oh, hi, how are you? Kind of thing. And what she notices about Victoria is it's quite obvious she's got a wig on. It's quite obvious she's wearing, it's not her hair. And Marie had told Esther, actually, you know, we call her Anna, but her name's not Anna, it's Victoria, but she answers to Anna. And Esther noticed that Victoria was actually answering to Anna, so she was like, okay. She was like, but why's she got the wig on? And she gets her to take the wig off, and what she notices on Victoria's head is like loads of blisters, like burns on little Victoria's head. And she asks, but Marie jumps in and she's like, oh, she stands under the shower too long, it's fine, and tells Victoria to put the wig back on. And Esther, don't forget, she's got a distant relative turn up on a doorstep out the blue with a little girl who's got questionable marks on her head, who's answering to a different name, might be made to wear a wig. It's all very fishy to her. So, you know, Victoria plays on Esther's mind a little bit. She's quite concerned for her. But what she says is, what she notices is, even though it's quite obvious that she's got these marks and all this stuff's going on, but she says Victoria has just got, and I will say, Victoria Climbie had the most amazing smile. Just beautiful. Just radiated. Like, just a beautiful little girl. And she says that she just seemed happy, even with these marks on us. But Esther was still concerned. So she sees the pair after about 6 weeks or so walking down the street. And when she sees them, she's very shocked at Victoria's appearance. She's quite taken back. It's only been 6 months, and Victoria's lost a lot of weight at this point, and there's a big scar on her cheek, and straight away she's like, oh my God, what's happened to her? Because she knew it wasn't there the last time she'd seen her. And Marie just passes it off like, oh, you know, she fell on the escalator. Just like that. These excuses, oh, just marvellous. And she wouldn't have known she was going to bump into Esther. So, you know, that excuse was at the ready. So Esther can't settle. She just can't settle with this. She's just not happy about it. So she goes to visit the pair. And you might be thinking, well, where are they living? Because, you know, they've turned up in London, and, you know, don't forget, Marie, who we now know isn't this very wealthy sort of aunt with millions in the bank. Well, they're living in a hostel. They're living in a hostel in London. And when Esther goes to visit to check on Victoria, this little girl, she doesn't know this little girl, but she's suitably concerned that she turns up on their door. And when she gets there, she said it was just filthy. It was just really dirty. It was very smoky. She said it's just not where a child should be living, this hostel. She's really concerned. And seeing the state that Victoria was in, unkept, marked, losing the weight, she gets in touch with social services, Esther does. And she phones them, but she just, even though she made the report to them over the phone, she couldn't settle with that. And she phoned again. She actually phoned again a week later just to see if anything was done or anything was going to be done. And they assured her, they reassured her, look, we're looking into it. Don't worry. She's going to be fine. That's kind of what she was told. But unfortunately, nothing happened. Absolutely nothing happened from those 2 phone calls that this lovely woman who, like I say, didn't know Victoria from anyone. But she was so concerned and nothing was done. In fact, both phone calls were just lost in the system. Just up there in the ether. Just gone. Okay, so now we get to mid-June 1999. Okay. And Marie gets herself a job. Alright. Working in a hospital. A cleaner in a hospital, okay. But Victoria hasn't been enrolled in school in London. So Marie's caught on. Now she knows if she enrolls her in school, questions are going to start to be asked about Victoria. So she's learned her lesson from there. So, God, she's not doing that. She's not going to enroll her in a school, for goodness sake. Why would she? Why would she have always looking at her? So instead, what she does, she sends her to a childminder in the day while she's at work. Okay, now this childminder is called Priscilla Cameron. Okay. Her daughter is Avril Cameron, and her son is Patrick Cameron. So you've got Priscilla Cameron, who is the main childminder. She's got an adult son and daughter called Avril and Patrick. All right. Now, Victoria loved spending time with this family. She genuinely did, and it said that if ever there was a time that Victoria could be a child while in London, it was with the Camerons. And she took a real shine to Patrick, which is Priscilla's son. Like I say, he's an adult, but she took a real shine to him, and she'd love showing him her traditional dances. Remember I said she loved dancing and singing, and she would do these traditional dances. And there's actually a photo that, if you know about Victoria Climbie, you would have seen this particular photo, and she just looks adorable. She's got like this little yellow outfit on, and she's got her hair in bunches, and she kind of stood by a tall plant, and she's just this big smile. She just looks so cute. And that picture was actually taken at the Camerons' home. But when Marie would return to collect Victoria, Victoria would completely shut down. And she'd run to one of them, whether it be Priscilla or Avril or Patrick. She would run, and she'd kind of literally try and melt into them when Marie had come. And the family are looking, and they're like, she completely changed to the child that she was like literally 5 minutes previous. And she'd just go very quiet. And when Victoria had come in, when Marie had come in and talked to Victoria, apparently she'd be talking to her in French, but they could tell it wasn't a good conversation. Victoria would just be there with her head down, and Marie would just be shouting at her. Look, she hasn't seen her all day, and she'd just walk in and start just completely going at this little girl for no reason whatsoever. And she'd basically just call her wicked. She'd say she's a wicked child. Look, for what? Why? Now, they'd also started to notice cuts on her fingers, on little Victoria's fingers. And when they'd ask about it, Marie would say, oh, she cuts herself with razor blades. Does she? Does she? Is that what she does? She's 8 years old and she's cutting herself with razor blades across her fingers, is she? Right. Just so unbelievable. But again, quick with these. The excuses are pitiful, but she's still quick with them. And like I say, just talking to her, just vile. Even though they couldn't understand what was being said, they just knew. So we get to July 1999, okay? Enter Carl Manning, all right? Now, Carl Manning, he's 26, all right? Now, remember, Marie, I gave you a date of birth. She's actually 42. She possibly might have turned 43 at this point, but considerably older than him, you know. Not one to judge, but it's because Marie was just the most manipulative woman ever. Okay, and this man worked on the bus. He was a bus driver, and she'd get on the buses in the morning to go to work, and that's where she'd see him. And she just, I don't know if you could say seduced, maybe. I mean, I just don't know, but that's what it was. And basically, he was a bit of a loner, was Carl. Not many friends, like I say. He owned his own flat in Tottenham. It was a bedsit. It was a bedsit, that's what it was. But it's just one room, one bedroom. That's it, okay? You can see it online. It's just sort of a living room, teeny kitchen, teeny bedroom, very small bathroom. It's a small place. Okay. Well, I say kitchen. The kitchen's in the living room, so it's a very small place. Well, Marie convinces him to allow her and Victoria to move in with him. That's some manipulation, just to meet this woman and go, yeah, come on and move in with me with your daughter. He believes Victoria is her daughter. Okay, she introduces her as Anna. This is my daughter. Okay, but he did not like Victoria at all from the get-go. No reason. We can presume maybe it's because he obviously believed that it's Marie's daughter. Maybe he didn't want another man's child in his home. I don't know, but he had a hatred for Victoria. Now, don't forget, she's already been beaten by her aunt quite severely, and now she's been moved into a home with a man who's not going to stop that happening. No, he doesn't like her either. This poor girl who just thought she was going on this amazing adventure with her aunt. So drastically, Marie turns up at the Camerons one evening, just out the blue. It's quite late at night, and she basically says to them, you've got to keep her. And she's got all of Victoria's stuff in Victoria's little case, hands it to them. She's like, the man we're living with, he won't let her stay, so you've got to keep her. And Priscilla, the childminder's like, well, listen, she can stop for the night, but she's your daughter. She's your responsibility. You've got to sort this out. But she can stay for the night. They all had a huge soft spot for Victoria. Of course they did. They really, really had a soft spot for this little girl, and they knew something was up. So she was like, come on, it's late, bring her in. So Marie just drops her off she goes. And as the door closes and Victoria's just stood there with a little suitcase in front of her and a headstand, she's got a cap on. Okay? And, she's got a cap on. And Priscilla just basically says to her, look, you're inside. You don't need it on inside. Take it off. And if you've ever watched any of the documentaries on this, Avril, who's Priscilla's daughter, that looks like she's a daughter, but she's an adult herself, she gets so upset talking about the moment when Victoria takes that hat off, because there was just marks all over her head. She had a gash just above her eye. She had a mark on her cheek. She'd obviously lost weight. And you see her get so upset at seeing this little girl. They kind of gasp when she takes her hat off. But even with that, she's still smiling. She's still smiling at them. And I think that's why Avril got upset when she was talking about it. She says even with all of this, there was still that smile. It's just heartbreaking. But the next day, after she couldn't really sleep that night, Avril couldn't. And the next day, she takes Victoria to the Central Middlesex Hospital. And she goes in there and she tells the nurse, she says, look, got this little girl, we childmind for her. She's not my daughter at all, but I'm really concerned for her and I need someone to obviously look and see what's going on. So eventually a doctor comes over, and this doctor spends 2 hours with Victoria. And she checks her from head to toe, okay? And she actually turned round to Avril and she goes, do you know what these marks are? Of the many that were on Victoria's body. And she's like, no. And they were like little circular marks on Victoria's skin. She's like, no. She goes, they're cigarette burns. And there's scars. And there's bruises and there's abrasions. This girl's just, she's just been abused head to toe. So straight away, basically she says they're non-accidental injuries. She says it is child abuse. She gets in touch with the police protection order is put in place. There's a report sent to social services. All of this was being set up while Victoria was at the hospital, and Avril was happy. Not happy why, but happy that Victoria wouldn't have to go back to Marie. She wouldn't have to deal with that anymore. She was going to get help now. But then the next day, a senior consultant in all his wisdom decides to come and look at Victoria, and he's like, oh, they're not cigarette burns, that's scabies. That's what that is. What are you talking about? This child's falling. And Avril, when she's talking, she's like, I'm not a doctor, but I'm not stupid. Scabies is it's like a rash. What about the burns on her? What about the burns on her head? What about the cuts, the abrasions? What are they? And there's a gash above her head. What's that? And the consultant's like, no. She's all right. She's okay. It's scabies. It's fine. So because of this, the police protective order is stopped. Okay, so what would have kept Marie away from Victoria is now stopped. The social service request is still in place. That's still in place, but she has no protection from the police anymore. That's gone. Okay. So because of that, Victoria is sent home with Marie. And poor Avril was like, oh my God, what more can I do? What can I do now? She just felt so helpless. She really did. It's just such a shame. So we get to 1 week later now. And Marie brings Victoria to the North Middlesex Hospital. That was the Central Middlesex Hospital. Now she's taking her to the North Middlesex Hospital, okay? And again, if you know this story, all right, you're going to know the photo I'm talking about, okay? And Victoria, well, the excuse given by Marie was, she needs a bit of help because she's been holding her head under the hot tap, you know, because of the scabies. You know, the scabies you told me about? Well, yeah, she's been holding her head under the hot tap, so can you help me out with that? And, oh, God, these photos of this little girl. Just all of her forehead, it's like all the skin's gone. It's like her eyes. One of her eyes looks like it's swollen. It's the most heartbreaking picture. It's so graphic. And in that photo, she's still smiling. I know I've probably said it 4 or 5 times, but this girl was just, given what she was going through and what must have been happening with Marie and Carl back at that dingy hole she was living in, that she was smiling for those pictures that were being taken where half of her face has been destroyed by it, but it's obviously hot water that's been poured over her head. And then Marie tries to say she did it herself because of the scabies that never was. It's just an awful, awful, awful picture. It genuinely is. Now, because of this, Victoria was in the hospital. She was in there for a few days, and you know, one of the nurses happens to notice a mark, and it is again that you can see online, and it's a mark on her, and it's about that. It's like a square, and it's actually said that it's a belt buckle that's embedded into her skin. And while she's there for these few days, they've said that there was like a dressing up box, and the nurses were talking about how she'd skip up and down the ward with these like outfits that she'd found in this dressing up box, like just trying to make the other kids happy and cheering the nurses up. But what they did notice is any time Marie, on the odd occasion she came to actually visit Victoria, don't forget they believe this is her daughter, but on the very odd occasion she'd walk into that hospital, Victoria would just completely shut down. She wet herself. She would stand at attention with her head down. You know, the once when Marie walked in, Victoria dared to be on the bed, you know, like a person in hospital who's sick would be on a bed. And she made her get down on the bed, stand at attention, head down. And she wet herself then. Pure fear. And the nurses could see this. And they were asking for help. And for help with what? It's scabies. It's what it is. Oh, just awful. And at that point, there should have been put into place a child protection conference where everyone involved with Victoria would sit around a desk in a meeting room and all discuss the different interactions that they'd had with Victoria and Marie. But that didn't happen. That never happened. So again, she's sent home with Marie. Haringey Social Services are put in charge of the case, all right? And there's a young girl called Lisa Arthur-Worry, who's the social worker put in charge of Victoria. Put in charge of Victoria's welfare, okay? Now, Lisa Arthur-Worry, I will tell you, has gotten and did get a lot of stick over this. But what I'll say about Lisa is she was very young. Said she was very overworked and she should have been getting watched by her supervisor. Like, everything should have been overlooked by her supervisor. She'd only been qualified for 18 months, which is apparently a very, very short amount of time in that field. And she wasn't. She was just sent on her way to go and check on this little girl. So when she goes to visit the home, now in a documentary I've watched, her dad is talking about this particular visit. And he says that Lisa was used to going to homes that were dirty, that were, you know, no food in the house and things, just things like this. And he says that when she went round there, not only was the place surprisingly clean, but Marie and Carl and Victoria looked well presented. Now, I'm assuming there was an appointment. I'd say there was definitely an appointment made before she came round, which is, I still don't get that when that happened. But they were prepared for her. And it was admitted that even though she looked and she spoke to Carl and Marie, she never spoke to Victoria. And had she spoken to her, maybe, just maybe she might have been able to sense, maybe, just how bad things were getting for this little girl. Just how bad things had gotten and they were going to get. Because poor Victoria, well, now she's now incontinent from the beating she's been getting at the hands of these pair. Okay? Now, she didn't have a bed at this flat. She slept on the sofa. But because she was incontinent, of course, she's wetting the sofa, which would send Carl into the worst rages. Okay? So he decided, well, she's wetting my sofa. We've got to throw this away. So now, where else is she going to sleep? Where else can she sleep? She's going to sleep in the bathroom. In the bath. Now, if you see the bathroom, it's a dingy, dark, very cold looking bathroom anyway. This is the middle of winter we're talking about. And she's been made to sleep. She's 8 years old. And she's been made to sleep in the dark, cold, on her own. in a bath. Okay, that's where she's been made to sleep now. Her hands were being tied up at this point, and she's being wrapped up to her neck in a black bag. That's her blanket, by the way. They tie her into a black bag and just put her in the bath. Because of course she's wetting herself. She can't control her bladder or her bowels. So she's wrapped up in black bags. So of course when she goes to the toilet, it's surrounding her. Just it seemed the worse that Victoria was getting and the weaker she was getting, the worse the abuse was getting on this little girl. It was like, I don't know. It was like they were getting a kick out of how weak she was getting. Now, Lisa, she does visit again. Believe it or not, she does turn up to the flat again. But she turns up to tell the family that she believes she's coming round to see that the request for a council house that Marie had put through, she put through the request earlier on the year previous when she first got to London. The request had been turned down. Now, all I'm assuming is could it have been the paperwork? She come from France? Was it because she was living with Carl? I don't know. I don't know why she was turned down. But she was, and it was said that the only way for her to basically qualify for a council house was if Victoria was in danger. But they just spent the last meeting that they'd had with Lisa telling her how well Victoria was doing and how close a family they were. So we're trying to cover their tracks. They'd actually messed plans up for Marie in getting a house. That would appear what's happened. And little Victoria had obviously been trained, and she turned round and she says, you do not respect my mummy. That's what she said. She'd obviously been trained to say that. But Marie, she was furious. She was fuming over this. So she leaves it a couple of days, and then she calls the office to speak to Lisa. And she says, oh, do you know what? Actually, Carl is sexually abusing Victoria. Just like that. Just like. So Lisa's like, oh my God, you and her get in here, come into the office now, we need to see her. So Marie's like, okay. So that afternoon, Marie goes down with Victoria to the office where Lisa is and her supervisor, who's waiting. Not just them though, they bring Carl with them. You know, this man who's molesting this little girl. Oh, yeah. Oh, he's not, as it happened, but that's what she says, okay? So they all turn up at the office, and they're looking and they're like, why is he here? So they all go in and they all sit in, and basically Lisa's supervisor tells Marie, look, if you want to pursue this, Victoria will need to be examined. She was fine with that. She was fine with putting that little girl through the examination that's needed to prove something like that, which would be devastating for a little 8-year-old to go through. It's so invasive. It would be traumatising for her. She was okay with that. She was fine with that. But then when she was told that, and Carl, he'd be arrested, and there's a good chance he could go to jail for this. And she's like, oh, I don't know about that now. And she basically says, actually, no, we're going to leave it. Can we pretend? We'll pretend that conversation hasn't happened. And you might be like, right, okay, this woman's crazy, quite obviously. The man is with her, he's obviously quite crazy. And in the middle of it is this little 8-year-old girl who looks, all I can assume, must look terrible in front of these two social service workers who are there to help children. And do you want to know what they do? They let her go home with them again. And that was one of the final chances that anyone had to help Victoria. All the people that I've mentioned in this story, all the agencies, all the witnesses, this was the last chance they had to help her. And they blew it. They blew it. So there was a set of jobs that Lisa had to not jobs, but there was a set of orders that Lisa would have to complete now after this, and it consisted of her making phone calls to Marie, the spot visit trying to the house, and she was doing that. She even went a couple of times after work in her own time, knocking on the door. No one was obviously answering. And when she went back to her supervisor to say, look, I can't get in touch with them anymore. I don't know if they've moved. I don't know what's happened. Her supervisor, rather than going, well, there's something very odd about that, she tells her to close the case and mark it NFA, which is no further action. That was it. That was it. Just awful. And if what Lisa, and so many people, but Lisa in particular, because she was the one who turned up at that door, what she didn't realise was behind that door. Now, I don't know if Carl and Marie would have been in that flat at that point, or they had gone out. But what we do know is that Victoria, this little 8-year-old girl, would have been in that bathroom, tied up in a black bag, just discarded. That's where she would have been. And she would have been too weak to call out for help by this point. She was obviously not eating, she was not being fed. At this point, she was getting food thrown to her, sort of a plate thrown to her, like a dog, but her hands were tied behind her back. So she was literally having to put her face into the plate if she wanted to eat, when they allowed her to eat. Oh, God. Now we get to the 24th of February 2000, okay? Now, the only places that Victoria had gone over the last couple of months, up until February. Now, don't forget, Victoria was born in November. She would have had a birthday in that bathroom. So the only place that apparently Marie was taking Victoria during this time was to her church, okay? And when she'd take Victoria, and Victoria would be covered in all these marks and barely able to walk, she'd blame demons. She'd blame demons, and she'd say it was this evil child and cast out these demons from this child. That's what she'd say while she was at this church. But on this particular day, one of the people at the church was just like, enough. Take this child to the hospital now. And for some reason, given that obviously Marie didn't seem to answer to anybody, she listened. And she called, a taxi was called from the church, and the taxi driver was just oh, disgusted at Marie when this child was brought into the car. He was utterly heartbroken at the sight of Victoria, you know, in the back of his taxi. And she was taken to the North Middlesex Hospital, okay? Now, when she got there, her core temperature, now remember, she's been kept in the bathroom in the middle of winter. Her core temperature was so low that they couldn't even find a thermometer to read it. There was no thermometer at the hospital that they could even read what her core temperature was. She was so injured. She was in such a bad way that they transferred her straight away to St Mary's Children's Hospital, okay? And they really tried to save her. They really did. But on the 25th of February 2000, at age 8 years and 3 months, Victoria Climbie died. Just awful. She hadn't been with this woman for what, 18 months? Not even that. Wasn't even that, was it? 15 months. Just awful. The autopsy was done on Victoria and she had 128 separate injury sites to her body. She died of hypothermia and malnutrition. She was just... Nothing on her body had been spared. Nothing. She was just... They destroyed this little girl. Now, at the hospital, Marie was arrested straight away on sight of this child, okay? Denied everything. It's the demons. I don't know what you're on about. I'm innocent. I'm great. I'm an amazing the person. Why are you looking at me? Look, very indignant over the whole thing. Now, Carl, he wasn't arrested till the next day, okay? And they picked him up at his flat. Now, when they brought Carl in, he was different. He actually admitted everything. He admitted everything what they'd done and his part in it. But what he always stuck with was, but I never meant to kill her. Oh, well, that's okay then. That's all right then. As long as you didn't mean to kill her, then that's fine. It was, while he was talking, he went into detail about what was done to her, and the things that was used on her. She was beaten with hammers. She was beaten with bicycle chains. She was burnt with cigarettes. As we know, she was held under hot water until she's just scalded every part of this child. And he said, sickeningly, you could hit her time and time again and she could always take it. In fact, he likened her to Satan, because she could always take it. She never cried. Just sickening. Absolutely sickening. The police obviously had gone round to the flat when they picked Carl up, and they went in, you know, with a warrant to check everything. And they came across, at first glance, what they thought was Victoria's passport. But then when they looked, obviously they believe that the child that they've got at the hospital is called Anna Quayle, remember? And when they look at the passport, the name on the passport is Anna Quayle. But the picture of the little girl on the passport isn't the little girl they've got at the hospital. And they know something's really wrong here. They're confused and they start investigating. And Marie's not telling them anything. She's not saying, well, actually, it's not only not my daughter. Her name's not Anna. She didn't come through with anything. This woman, she knew how much fraud she committed, and she was more concerned over that than the fact that she just murdered her own flesh and blood. This was her great niece. And she was more concerned with the fraud that she committed than the murder of this little child. But they investigated, and eventually they get in contact with Francis and Beth in the Ivory Coast, and they ask them to come over and ID the little girl that they had in the mortuary. And this couple, I can't imagine how this couple would have felt on that plane journey over here, not knowing are they about to ID their daughter. They didn't know. They didn't know would it have been her or not. How oh, I can't imagine. While the police were looking in the house, they found a lot of bleach. So obviously when Marie had been arrested at the hospital, Carl had gone around and tried to clean his flat of all evidence. Even with the clean-up he'd done, and there was bottles and bottles of bleach there, he'd really tried. Even with all that clean-up he'd done, there were so many blood sites. There were so many blood sites around that flat. There was blood everywhere from that little girl. They found tape where they'd been tying her hands up, and there are pictures and you can see the marks that he'd left on her little hands. But there was just rolls and rolls of balled up tape that had been thrown away. They found all of that. And when obviously Francis and Bertha come into London, they ID their little girl. And that's when the police find out that this isn't Anna Quayle. This is Victoria Climbie. That's the little girl that they've got. So on the 20th of November 2000, right through to the 12th of January 2001, it's a very, very long trial. Was, like I say, is their trial at the Old Bailey. Okay, it was a huge case, this was. There was anger at every person involved. There was just uproar at, I remember it myself. This is, it's just absolutely heartbreaking, because those photos, a lot of people saw those photos, and it just, to know that this little girl had been brought into England hoping for a better life. She had a good life over it with her family, but this was the hope of a better future for her, and just have that shattered for what? For nothing. Marie still claimed throughout the trial it was demons. Demons did it, and Victoria was a demon. Everyone's demons. Okay. Carl, he actually he pled guilty. He did to his part in it. He was given life. Marie was found guilty and given life. Okay. I don't think either one of these two are set to ever get out. I've been watching this for a very long time. I don't think they're ever going to get out. I really don't. But obviously if they do, I'll always come back to this story. I've followed it for a very long time. There was a public inquiry done, and it was said that there were 12 separate times to have saved Victoria. 12 times they had. The authorities had 12 opportunities to step in and help this little girl and get her home to her family, and they failed at every turn. They said measures would be put in place, as they always do, but we know what happened 7 years later, don't we? Baby P, with the same social services, Haringey Council, same place, okay? Now, Lisa Arthurworry, the social worker that I've mentioned a few times, I've saw obviously bits of her and heard of her since. She's a shell of the girl she was. An awful lot of the blame was put on her. I'm not going to do that in this story. From what I've heard, you know, it just seems that she just didn't get the help that she should have. I feel like she was hung out to dry. I do. The parents during the inquiry, oh my God, so dignified. It was said that during the trial, because they were witnesses, they didn't hear a lot of what was done to their daughter while she was living with Marie. But in the inquiry, they were there every single day, and all those details were brought forward again. So they heard everything. And actually, Marie Quayle was brought into that inquiry. Now, she could have done it through over video like Cole did, but she insisted on being there. And now, it's not like a trial where you're in a dark. This is a bit of a different format, this room of the inquiry. And when the parents of the little girl she murdered are right in front of her, they're sat right there, she starts bringing up the fact that they're not married. Now, where they're from, that would have been said to really hurt them. Look, it was neither here nor there to anyone in that room. But she says it purposefully to hurt them. Hurt the people whose daughter she murdered. It just the woman. I've heard it says that, and another woman says that when she was in that room, she felt 100% that she was in the presence of evil when Marie was in that room. She just says her laugh, because she would cackle. She just said she was vile, absolutely vile. It was all theatrical. It was a complete mess, that whole inquiry, while she was there, should I say. But like I say, Victoria's parents from beginning to end just was so dignified. They sat there every single day and to try and see what had happened and see what was going to be done afterwards, that, you know, on the back of what had happened to their daughter. Now, what I will say, obviously we know that everything that I've mentioned in this story, the amount of authorities that were involved, we had the police, we had the social services, you know, we had the witnesses. There were so many people involved in this little girl's short life while she was here in England, while she was in France. But I think the one thing to remember, there's two people that are to blame for Victoria's death, and that's Marie-Therese Quayle and Carl Manning. Okay? All the other authorities, yes, they should have, and they are employed to do so, and they're paid to do so. They are paid to step in at those moments. But I think Lisa Arthur-Worrey, I felt she got more stick a lot of the time than even the killers did. And I didn't agree with that. I think in when emotions are running that high, everyone gets it, don't they? Everyone sprays with just the wrath of the country. But I think I didn't understand why she tended to get it more than Marie-Therese Quayle did. Like, that was the monster in this story. Carl Manning was the monster in this story. So I just wanted to say that. There has been a school that's been built in Victoria's name in the Ivory Coast as well. You can see it online. It's a beautiful school. And it's just such a heartbreaking case. This one is, and I did want to do it again. I had been asked to do it again. And yeah, oh God, I don't even know how to end it. It's just, yeah, that was the Devastating Victoria Climbie story. Well, thank you for joining me. Don't even know what to say now. Thank you for joining me, everyone. I'm here every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 p.m. Tuesdays I'm a request evening. Thursdays I like to bring a story you might not have heard of to you. patreon.com/Jess Rose 5472. I'm just going to have a quick chat with the guys in the live now, but thank you so much for joining me. It'd be great if you could like or you could comment or possibly even subscribe. I'd really appreciate that too. But yeah, thank you for joining me. And yeah, I'm just going to say how the guys in the live are doing, and maybe next time you can join us in the live. Thank you all so much. Thank you. How are we all doing? How have we been getting on? How are we? Are we all okay in there? Just awful, wasn't it? Oh, just such a shame. They're all so bad, but yes, God, I'm very with the monsters, but they... I don't know, Jessica. I don't know. I know what you mean. I do know what you mean. And yeah, 100% I agree. There were so many chances to stop her. But I think it should have been, if they were going to go after all the authorities, then they should have gone after all of them. But what I noticed was there was just Lisa Arthur, where his name just came up time and time and time and time again. And I just found that a little bit unfair. Only in the sense that if we're gonna put the blame at the authorities, then do it as a blanket. They all get it, rather than this one young girl who has been thrown in to a job where she didn't just have Victoria's case, she had loads. I think they had double the workload and double the cases they should have actually had. So her supervisors should have been to blame, her manager should have been to blame, police should have been to blame, the hospitals at the blame, the consultant who said it was scabies should have been dragged in. You know, there's so many people that could take the blame, but at the same time, I do think sometimes it can be forgotten who the main culprits actually are in this. So you are right. They all do. They all have an element of blame to accept, but I think sometimes it can be forgotten who's the culprit, and that's all I was saying. I do think, yeah, she was. It's just awful. Oh, hi, Kelly. I didn't see you. How you doing? How are you? I haven't seen you in a little while. How have you been? I don't know. You must have come in after I started. How are we? Are we all okay? But yes, I do understand what you mean, Jessica. I do. But yeah, I do like to make a point that it is the people who did it. I do agree that Lisa shouldn't have been at the scapegoat for everyone else. Yes, that's my point. That's my point. Yeah. Yeah. She was. I think that's the correct words as well. She was 100% scapegoated. That's exactly what she was doing. And I don't think that was fair. I don't. But, yeah, just so sad. Such a sad story. It really is. It's just absolutely heartbreaking. Even all these years later, the minute I look at this story again, it's like just my whole stomach just sinks, and it's like, oh God. Maria Colwell's story, a couple of years before Big Sucklers. Oh, okay, Warwick. Oh, thank you, Julie. Thank you very much. Thank you. It's awful, wasn't it? It's an awful story. Warwick, can you put that on the comment after it's uploaded, if you don't mind? Is that okay? And I'll have a look. Kelly, I haven't forgotten yours. Jean-Benet Ramsey, I haven't forgotten, but it's... Kelly, it's huge. You've always give me huge... I don't think it's going to be one I can do in I think it's going to have to be in a couple of parts, which I don't normally do, but I think I'm going to have to do for that one, because otherwise we're going to be here for like 3 hours. I think it's going to be a long one, that is. So I haven't forgotten that one at all. Oh, okay, I'll definitely have a look at that, Maria Carway. Yeah, drop it on, Warwick, and I'll have a look. I'll have a look at that one. But yeah, I just wanted Kelly to know, because she's probably thinking, hang on a minute, I asked you months ago. I haven't forgotten. I promise it's there. It's there for me to do. I promise. So, but yeah, guys, I knew I was going to keep you a while tonight. I know, why is Phil not here? Is he still here? Phil, you still here? We're wondering where you've gone. Just wondering if you're still here. Did I see Ray as well? And I'm sure I've seen Sharon as well. Just out the corner of my eye. I did see, I saw Ray and Sharon. Obviously didn't see Kelly until the end. Saw Jessica. But I'm going to start coughing again now. My God. I don't think I've got a cold, but I've definitely got a cough, and I'm going to start going into a complete outburst in a second. So I'm not going to keep you here too much longer, because here we go. I don't even, you know when you've got just a tickly cough and you can't shake it, it's going to start again. I don't know what that was, just hammered my hand then. It was the year I was born. Oh, okay. My God, 2000 born, eh? My God, I was 22 then, Jessica, so thanks for that. Thanks for letting me know that. I feel good about myself. Oh, thanks, sis. Thank you. Yes, I am. I'm gonna do jingle time, but I haven't got Philly to tell me about jingle time, so I'm gonna have to do it. No, that's what I'm saying. Say that in English too. I don't know what you said wrong. No, I'm not. That's what I'm saying. I'm not actually, Paul. It's just, when you've just got a tickle. And once it starts, that's it. My eyes are going to fill up and everything. So, you are a little baba. You are a little baby. I'm very jealous. Right, okay. I'm going to do the jingle. It's jingle time, guys. So, thank you so much for joining me. If you want to join my Patreon, it's patreon.com/DeshRose5472. I'm here every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 p.m. So I appreciate that. Anyone who's watching now, if you could go in after and drop a comment in. You can even just write the word comment. I'd really appreciate that. And please drop a like in. I'd love that too. Or if you're watching tomorrow or you haven't already, if you could like, comment, and subscribe, guys. Look, comment, and subscribe, guys. I'd really appreciate it. Look, comment, and subscribe, guys. Look, comment, and subscribe, guys. As Phil would call you. Oh my God, I can't do it. Look, comment, and subscribe. The throat's gone. But yeah, I'd really appreciate it if you could. It's way too late. I've got to stop laughing. I'm going to start again. So thank you to Phil and Warwick and Tiffany and Hayley and Jessica and Jilly and Sharon and Kelly. Have I said Kelly? And Ray and Natalie. I think I've got everyone. I think that's everyone. I apologise if it's not. I'm so sorry, but I think I've got everyone. Thank you all so much for joining me again. And I'll see you all on Thursday. I don't know what I'm bringing to you. I've got a couple, but I'll see you on Thursday at 8 o'clock, and I'll try not to have that happen at the start of it. I'll know that my side's not working where I can change the background on Thursday, so I'll be more aware of it. So thank you all so much again, and I will, see you Thursday. Have a lovely couple of days. So take care, guys. Take a look, comment, subscribe, guys. Look, comment, subscribe. See you all soon. Look,